Hey, what's up? Well, back to making another video, which I really, like I said, I need to stop making so many of these and, stop making them so long. But real quickly, I just wanted to, make yet another video, just kind of, expanding on the same things. But, I just want to, I shouldn't have too many more packages coming in. But I want to talk in this video about how, just more of the same. Oh, I got my new anchor necklace. I got another one, and my anchor ring, and anchor earrings, and anchor blouse. And I feel like we've come full circle from about 2 years ago. Oh my goodness, a little over 2 years ago when Mars was in opposition. I'm starting to see Mars out again, in the east once again. And I want to talk about how very soon we'll have a full moon and Mars will be very close to it. And how, there's just, every little over 2 years, thereabout, I've been getting really interested in Mars. Where was that interest my whole life that I've suddenly discovered in the red planet? Which really, it's more like a yellow light than a red Christmas light. But what I want to talk about, in this video, first of all, this is kind of the calm before the storm. We're supposed to get some really cold, freezing weather. Now, whether or not it snows, that remains to be seen, because snow is extremely rare around here, and it just doesn't usually snow. But real quickly, I would like to touch upon, if you notice this place kind of looking like a disaster area, and you're wondering, Veronica, why don't you do something about it? Why don't I, go through and try to better organize things? Why don't I try to make things a little nicer? Well, because it isn't my place. Because this is not my home by more than one definition. I did not build this house in the 80s. I did not live in this house, for all those years leading up to the death of the original person who lived here all that time. And last but not least, it is my dad's home, not mine. And he really only bought it as a carrot, to keep me from going back with my mom, which is what I'd really like. It's just another carrot along with all those dolls and everything else, because he every day in some way he makes it clear that, he'd much rather be living in some type of an apartment, and that he never gives up hope on doing that again, before he dies. He felt very privileged over 2 years ago to be living in an apartment. He much preferred that lifestyle, of never owning anything and never having to take care of anything. And so that's what he really wants, okay? And so, like, because you don't understand what I'm up against as far as, him helping me do anything that would need to be done. I mean, we're not talking about, hey, Dad, let's remodel the bathroom. Let's go get some paint. Let's go get this, that, or the other from Lowe's. No, he won't even do the most basic things, like pick up his snot rags, which I refuse to touch them, because one of the reasons why I still manage to get an average of about one cold per year, despite having no children nor any contact with children, is simply because he will not pick up after himself or be clean. On the rare occasion that he gets sick, and, granted, now that he's older and not working every day, or not going to a job, obviously that's not going to be as often, but I refuse. When you're living with someone who clearly doesn't appreciate the most fundamentally basic things, it's like, what did that kind of caring, what did that level of caring ever get my mom? I'll tell you what it got her: a life as a divorced woman with a cat neither of her kids with her on Christmas Day, no grandchildren, and, you know, a life that she could have had, you know, if she'd have just kept her body intact and decided that no man was worth what she gave to him that he didn't appreciate. You know what I'm saying? No man was worth it. You know, and I'm the only one who comes even close to appreciating all the things that she did for all those years. And I get a lot of crap for that. You know, I have a sister that wants her to be labeled a child abuser, and if she could, she'd have her arrested, you know, and why, I don't really understand. I mean, what the hell did she do to her that she didn't do to me? And then I have a father that, you know, I mean, he was certainly okay with her getting pregnant and giving him us, basically. He's glad he got to be a father, you know, he's glad that, you know, for all that she did for him, but, you know, he says that he wishes he would have divorced her on their honeymoon night or in the 70s when they didn't have any kids. You know, I mean, if that's what caring gets you, you know, if that's what going above and beyond gets you, you know, labeled a bitch and a nag and a this and a that and the other, then why the hell would I do it? You know what I'm saying? What's in it for me? Why should I go above and beyond for a man who doesn't even have the decency to pick up snotty paper towels, which to me is just as bad as poopy diapers in the middle of the floor, you know? Because you're actually more likely to get a cold from touching a snotty Kleenex or napkin or whatnot than you are to catch a disease from a healthy baby that pooped in a diaper. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're less likely to get a disease from cleaning a litter box or picking up dog stuff in the yard than picking up snot rags. So, you know, why should I go above and beyond and try to nag him? You know, that's exactly what he hated about mom, supposedly all those years. You know, that is, you know, their reason for calling her an abusive mother and wife and what have you, you know. If that's what makes someone an abusive bitch, you know, to fight harder to make things perfect, and, you know, everyone except me turned around and said, well, she didn't have to do that. You know, basically, they've all but said they would have been happier on Christmas not to have any pictures whatsoever. You know, why should I care? Why should I care? You know, I look at this house as not being my home, you know, just a house that I happen to be living in at the time being. Because, I mean, honestly, that is the case. You know, I don't own this house. I didn't buy this house, really. I didn't even have to sign anything on this house. And today or tomorrow he dies. I'm not sure what would happen, but I don't think I'd be allowed to live here free and clear. I don't think it would become mine automatically. I don't know, but I'm sure somehow or another I would end up back with her, which is where I really want to be anyway. I want to be with my mom. But I mean, even she has said, like, things along the lines of the house that she's currently in right now. You know, it was basically a redone house, likely built in the 60s or 70s. A house that existed but was not a part of our lives until fairly recently. You know, really, my original plan was to live with her in that little house, and I'd have been totally fine and happy, you know, had she not decided that that I was to go to work every day but yet not spend my money the way I wanted to spend it, and she was going to confiscate my eBay packages to punish me for ordering on eBay when she didn't give me permission to do that, even though I was making money at a job. And you know, basically, like, I would have totally, I truly wanted to be with her, you know, but that's just not the way things worked out. Sorry, I had to go investigate a noise. So, you know, I've just been living on my parents' terms basically my whole life, never really known freedom, which is why I don't fear losing it. You know, I'm not as afraid as most people, you know, they wish they could threaten me, you know, with going to jail and stuff like that. But I look at it as, Hell, for all I know, it could be the freest part of my entire life. Were I arrested tomorrow and thrown in jail, just think, maybe I could get one person, even if one person only, to refer to me, with male pronouns and use a male name. No, I don't want to go to the men's jail, but I mean, even just the freedom of being able to call myself. I don't even care if it's a stupid name, like I don't know, some unisex crapping nickname, like I don't know, I can't really think of one, but just any other name but the one that I was born with. Just that right there would be a mild improvement over the life that I've always had. You know what I'm saying? If I could get even just one person to call me by a name other than the one I was born with, even if I was in jail, even if, I was, God knows what was going on with my life, because I really do think that my only chance of having a normal life, or fitting in may have been to use my middle name, which is equally girly but still more normal, as my first name. I think that's the only way I could have ever fit in, would have been to switch up, and say I go by my middle name, on the first day of school every year. And if my parents would have never found out about that. So yeah, I mean, just my name is oppressive. It's like bondage, though I can't tell either one of them that. Because I guess my only other option is sissy, and that just means sister. So yeah, so I just want to talk about that, about how I just don't really have it within me to care. I mean, because I really don't have as much free time as you would think that I would have, and not having kids, and not having a job, and not, I mean, you would think that I would have just all this spare time where I'm just wondering, now what in the world could I do with all this spare time? What am I gonna do with my time today? You would think I would be like that, but I'm really not. I'm really not. It really does take a lot out of me, just to run this minimal home, with my father and I, and occasionally entertain my sister and or her fiance. It really does take a lot out of me just to maintain the life that we have. And although I would never say this to his face, I feel like my dad is actively working against me every step of the way. Like, even, yeah, he not only doesn't help me, not that I really ask him to, but even what little bit I do around here, I feel like he actively works against me to undo it in various ways, or at least that's what it feels like. May not be his intent, which is why I don't confront him with these things, but it feels like he continuously works against me every which way he can. I can have every single dish clean and feel so good about that accomplishment. You might say, oh, wait, you got a dishwasher, so that's nothing. Well, it's harder than you would think. And so I can have all the dishes cleaned, but yet he comes in wanting to bake a brand new batch of cookies or brownies, one out the two. He has to have these special cookies or brownies. I can like mop the floor. I can go through the effort of washing the tablecloth, which is why I love those cloth tablecloths. That sounds redundant, but there are vinyl ones that don't work as well. Because, the way he stains them up, it's like you rub them too hard, you rub the color off of them. And then what good are they when half the color is rubbed off of them? And so you can't wash them, because then it'll wash the color off of them and fade them. So they really weren't meant. That's why they are so cheap. They were meant to be used and thrown away after one party or two. They were not meant to be a permanent tablecloth. And so that's why I just love those little thin tablecloths from Temu, because you just throw them in with the laundry like they are laundry, because that's what they are. And they're stain resistant, so that most of the stains wash out. And you just throw them back on. But I mean, that takes effort. You have to take everything off the table, wash it, dry it, put it back on and then put everything back on the table the way it was. And it's more effort than you would think. I mean, I know it's a lot easier than people had it, say, 50 or 100 years ago. But, it is something. But, even so, it doesn't matter, what I do as far as cleaning up around here. He's right there, either actively undoing it or just not going through any extra care to try to maintain it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't do it more often, and I'm not, like just not more enthused about making things even better than they already are. Because what little bit I'm doing is already not appreciated. He didn't appreciate his home that my mother made for him, and she was a damn good wife and mother. Like, I cannot conceive of someone being better than her, really. I mean, if they exist, I don't know about them. But she was about as good as you could get in that department, but yet all she's remembered for is being a nag and a bitch and a this and a that and an abusive mom. And and I just don't entirely understand what my sister feels she was entitled to that she didn't get. How was she abusive? I mean, did she discipline us? Yes, of course. I mean, what are you gonna do? Did she hit us? Probably. But I mean, really, what parent doesn't? Were we beaten within an inch of our life? Absolutely not. Did I fear for my life? Not really. Not most of the time. I mean, I guess if they found these videos, it could really hit the fan. But as far as to be abusive, like above and beyond most parents, I really don't know. But I do know that she, she couldn't just sit around and just let things happen all around her, because, I mean, it's very hard to maintain that sort of life. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, that is how people live in chaos, because they don't have the ability to stand up to the kids and maintain a resemblance of order. You know what I'm saying? Order doesn't just happen out of luck. You don't just get lucky and happen to have things stay clean and in order. Well, you have to put in the effort to yell and scream and try to, get people involved as soon as they're able to be, older kids, get people involved in maintaining it and stop younger ones from destroying it. One spanking after another, and spray cats for getting on top of things. And, but what I was starting to say is, like, my mom, she used to live in this, well, it wasn't exactly a castle. I mean, there were a lot nicer houses. But we used to live in something I was very proud to call home, for most of my life still, yeah. Yeah, I graduated high school living there, so did my sister. We went through our schooling there. And, I was proud to call it my home. And she was very proud of it. And I've often asked her, why? Does she allow the cat to... Well, she doesn't let her just destroy everything like some people. I mean, she gets especially in the kitten phase, she got very ugly with the cat about getting on things. But, to an extent, she's just relaxed in her old age. And I've asked her that, why does she let the cat, just put hair all over the curtains, and lay down on things? And she says, because this is not my home. This house wasn't a part of my life for the vast majority of its existence in my life. This is not my home. This is not my beautiful home where I raised my 2 children in Texas. And that's exactly how I feel about this house. Yes, I love living here. I feel privileged. I wish I could have lived here sooner. But it's still not my home. I didn't build it. I didn't see the vast majority of what's wrong with it happen. One scratch after another. I didn't, I wasn't here through most of this house's existence. Kids probably threw up all over the place. I just keep going back to stuff like that. Babies may have had diaper explosions on the carpet that I'll never know about. Animals may have just been in the middle of the floor and I'll never know it. But it's just not my home. And so, as much as I would like it to be nice, I wish I did have a person who gave 2 sheets of paper one way or another. You know, I wish I did, live with someone who could help me get it right the way I wish it would be, but unfortunately I can't. And I just have to work with what I have, and do what I can to stay afloat because, believe it or not, as much as you would think that, a woman without kids has all kinds of spare time, well, it's not really as much like that as you would think. And so yeah, and the last thing I want to talk about, I'm really sick of the cartoon subject, but I just want to talk about how I will never respect animation as a medium. But really and truly, I mean, TV in general just doesn't do it for me. The older I get, the less use I have for TV and anything that requires your visual attention and stimulation, because I just don't have that need to stare at a screen all day long to take away more of my time, which I have learned is my most valuable resource. I mean, I've already, lived 4 solid decades, and I don't know how much time I have left, but I know that it's finite. I know that my life is very likely halfway over. And I just don't have a craving for TV. That's why I say I'm Veruca Salt, not Mike TV, because I have no interest in TV at all. Sports, movies. I turn on that TV and I find nothing that I really want to see or watch. And so I will never respect people who, they want to shoot down the things that I say, which I'm really not saying them that much anymore, because of some respect for a fictional character, some idol worship of a character that they want to cosplay or they want to fantasize about being their girlfriend or boyfriend or what have you. And a lot of times, those people truly are just young Zoomers or, just very young people going through a phase, which is what I found because a lot of the people who just really fought me on these things, not only are they not, a lot of their accounts are dead, like Tumblr and stuff like that. They just deleted them. But if they're still making content on the internet and that I'm able to find, a lot of it has nothing to do with the show that they used to be obsessed with. So just like me, they were truly going through a phase wherein that show was an obsession for a while. And I believe that if they would be honest with themselves, I think they would tell you that they're as ashamed and appalled looking at their old content created around the show as I am. They're just as ashamed at some of the things they used to say about the show as I am, of the things I used to say, which is why I'm not still creating such content. And if there's anything that I'm ashamed of, I'm not so much ashamed of the things that I believed and why, because I have the justification. I know exactly what I believe and why. And no one can shake my confidence in that. But what I am ashamed of is when I look back across my lifespan and I see the common denominator, whether I was a 9-year-old obsessed with the Willy Wonka movies and books, or book by Roald Dahl, whether I was a 10-year-old obsessed with the Gerbert Show, whether I was, let's see how old, 14 and obsessed with the Rugrats, or even we could back it up to 11 and obsessed with the Flintstones, or see what else, what other shows did I obsess on? 19-year-old, almost 20, obsessed with As Told by Ginger. Let's see, 32, was it? 32 and 3, obsessed with Sophia the First, inappropriately, since it was far beneath me. See what else. Rocket power temporarily, the last time Mars was in opposition. Was that 22? So I would have been 39. It's pretty sad when I'm having a hard time remembering how old I was. So, the common denominator is what makes me feel ashamed of just always wanting to obsess on these specific characters and especially humanize villains in particular. with basic bodily fluids or functions. And, just really, that's what I'm ashamed of. And before I became obsessed with colds, it was just, poop and vomit. That was all I really had as far as to obsess on, and that's why the obsessions didn't last as long. But what I'm ashamed of is just, when I see that I'm just that same person, and it's like another verse to a pathetic song about these shows and how they're either obsessions or they're nothing at all. They're either everything to me or they're nothing. They're not even on my radar. So yeah, this video is way too long and I'll go ahead and post it.